Welcome to this introduction to reparenting. Today, we're going to address what reparenting is, how to know when reparenting could be helpful in your life, what it can do for you, and examples of how to reparent yourself.
I'm Kim Holman, and I'm a mother of 3 adult children and a grandmother. I'm the owner of 8 Hands Healing and have been a licensed massage therapist and body worker for 31 years. And early in my career, I saw the value in supporting my clients' mental health and spiritual challenges as I saw the impact it had on their physical body. So this has created my desire to help larger populations of people transform their bodies by reparenting the younger wounded versions of themselves. I have developed and taught diverse wellness programs, including bodywork classes, an empath course, a boundaries for highly sensitive persons course, and then several reparenting empowerment courses created with me. So these offerings feature transformative information, all aimed at helping you better understand yourself and give you the ability to make empowered life choices. Reparenting seems to be a key element for inner healing that impacts all populations of people. I also enjoy dancing, paddleboarding, and biking with family and friends.
My name is Meg. I am the owner of Goodness Gracious Coaching. And for as long as I can remember, I have had a deep passion for helping people reflect and grow into wholeness and authenticity. I have experience supporting all ages in determining life paths, deconstructing difficult situations, and meeting them where they're at. I have taught preschoolers, elementary school students, teenagers, and adults in various capacities. Additionally, I've done extensive research on neuroscience, human motivation, child development, trauma, and other human development topics. I have 2 children, ages 11 and almost 8 at the time, right now. And I love to assist others in identifying the connections between their own upbringing and the relationships in their lives. In addition to reparenting, my coaching specialties include authentic inner work, programmatic and curriculum design, mental emotional organization, and small business coaching to release blocks. I also find enjoyment in writing, specifically poetry, hiking, and singing.
So let's start with what reparenting is. Our definition of reparenting means looking back with compassion on how you were parented, identifying what you needed but didn't receive, and then giving yourself those things now. So many people think that reparenting refers to our relationship with children, but reparenting is really about our primary relationship with ourself, which impacts all of our relationships, whether we have children or not. All other relationships will mirror what we believe about ourselves. So doing the inner work of reparenting will impact every other relationship you have in your life as well. So I'm going to give you an example. So we attract a partner who loves us, but only as much as we can love ourselves. So if we attract a partner who loves us more than that, we might sabotage the relationship. I know I've been guilty of doing that. Unless we have the tools or support to do the inner work to allow and receive the love.
Yeah, for sure. Our beliefs about ourselves definitely inform,
For sure.
our lives. So one question that we get a lot is, how do I know if I need the work of reparenting? How can it be helpful? Or how to know if it can be helpful for you? So that's kind of a trick question, because Kim and I believe that reparenting can be helpful on a variety of levels for everyone. But reparenting is particularly impactful for anyone who finds themselves off kilter or dysregulated from interactions with others in their life, emotions, or experiences that they have on a day-to-day basis, whatever, interaction or experience that brings things up for them. But there's been a lot of discussion around triggers in mainstream mental health circles. You may be familiar with the term. So in the mental health world, a trigger is an action or situation that creates a strong behavioral or emotional reaction. Often triggers are rooted in past trauma. So when Kim and I talk about trauma, we use Resmaa Menakem's definition from his book, My Grandmother's Hands. He talks about trauma as something that is too much, too fast, or too soon. Often when people think of trauma, they think of really big things, but essentially trauma is anything that your nervous system wasn't ready for. It can be as simple as seeing a particular movie too young, or being left by a caregiver at daycare and they didn't say goodbye, even if they returned at the appropriate time. If the situation isn't addressed properly, it can log in your body as trauma. And oftentimes we try and judge our own triggers, our own experiences of trauma, but we have to remember that we have a fully formed adult brain now. And so what may not seem like a big deal to us still could have been a very big deal to our younger self. So that didn't have the context, the information, or the brain development to handle that situation. So let's go back to triggers. When we're triggered, we're re-experiencing a past or bottled up hurt in the present time. So these hurts can stem directly from experiences with caregivers, or they can come from other influences during our lives, such as religion, societal norms, expectations, friendships, or significant other relationships. But being triggered can be an indication that a younger part of you is asking to be heard.
So another way to know if reparenting can be helpful for you is to notice your self-talk, recognizing beliefs about yourself, others, or the world. So these are some self-talk or belief systems that you might find common. I'm not worthwhile. I can't do hard things. Self-criticism, especially about body image. I have to stay small, like you can't be your true self. I'm not smart. No one wants to be my friend. I'm not good at fill in the blank. It could be art or speaking or writing, etc. I have to do everything all by myself. No one is safe. I will always get hurt. I'm trapped. I don't have a voice, or no one listens to me. That was a very common one for me. Any judgments, right, wrong, or good or bad. And I should, or women should, or men should.
So if you find yourself noticing that you have any of that self-talk in your body, or it comes up in your thoughts and during your day, that can be an indication that a younger self is asking to be heard. So far we've covered triggers as an inroad to reparenting work, self-talk as another inroad. Now we're going to briefly go over repeating patterns as another inroad to reparenting work. So if you find yourself repeating patterns that are unhealthy, that can be another indication that a younger part needs attention. So if you find yourself having repetitive arguments, the same argument over and over again, even if it's about different topics, if the root is the same, like the root is I'm not being acknowledged, or I'm not being heard, or you're dismissing me, or any of those things, if the root is the same, that's a serial argument. That's a repetitive argument. Addictions. And by addictions, when we talk about addictions, we mean anything that someone might use to avoid feeling or processing what's going on for them. So they can be the big ones like drug and alcohol abuse, or they can be phone addiction. It can be an addiction to something that's generally healthy, like exercise. But if you're using it to avoid what's happening in your body and what's happening in your nervous system, that can be considered an addiction. So just keep that in mind. Blaming others. If you find yourself constantly externalizing what's going on and blaming others, that can be an indication. If you have difficulty speaking up for yourself, if you freeze up and can't think during disagreements, that's a trauma response. Yelling or getting defensive when you're triggered, that's another trauma response. Fight. Avoiding emotion, running away from conflict.
Flight.
Flight.
That would be flight.
Yep. So we've had freeze, fight, flight. People pleasing is fawn.
Mm-hmm.
So difficulty disagreeing with someone, if it's hard for you to state an opinion that's other than what someone else is saying. Or procrastination. So those are indications that younger parts of yourself need to be heard. And if that's coming up, it's just a noticing, right? It's just giving you information about what's going on for you. So Kim and I do a lot of naming exercises in our offerings, and there's a reason for that. Because when you state something out loud, even if it's something that you internally know, if you state it out loud for yourself, there's power in that. There's bringing it from your body up into your brain, your conscious brain, so that now you can work with that pattern, right?
Into the room.
Yes,
Especially when you speak it
out loud to other people, to have witnesses. So that's why we do naming exercises, because we feel like it's a really important part of acknowledging what yourself and what's going on for you.
So now we know that triggers, self-talk, and repeating patterns indicate that reparenting could be useful. So now we'll cover what can reparenting do for you. So we talked about what reparenting is and given examples of how to know whether it can be beneficial in your life. So what's the impact it can have on your life? So it's an important practice to engage in because our relationships will unintentionally, hear that word,
That's an important
unintentionally
word.
highlight the wounds and absences that we had as children. So if we're unaware of these, we often react to or are triggered by situations that bring up old wounds. So reparenting helps us to heal the parts of ourselves that are still angry, sad, lonely, scared, etc. So we can then begin to recalibrate our nervous system to be able to handle the various emotions that we encounter as humans. So some practical and concrete outcomes from doing reparenting work are learning how to release guilt and blame, interact with yourself and others with grace and compassion, and allow space for grief. It also allows you to see yourself from a different perspective, experience life differently and more fully. And it provides tools for self-regulation when you do experience, because being human, we all have these experiences of anxiety, fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, overwhelming emotion, and confusion.
The process of reparenting gives you presence in your life, sovereignty and power over your life, empowerment to make conscious choices, and the ability to build self-love and self-compassion. And that's actually one of Kim and I's underlying values in all of our offerings and in everything that we do is that self-compassion piece that then extends out to compassion for other people, and curiosity. If we can approach ourselves with compassion and curiosity, then we can approach the world with compassion and curiosity. So gaining awareness of how you were parented can help you recognize what your needs are. And that releases the need to have other people in your life fulfill them. It also allows you to be present in your relationships and to co-create with others rather than requiring them to fulfill a role that wasn't fulfilled when you were younger. It enables you to have boundaries and to engage in healthy relationships. So when we're living from our wounds, we will unconsciously and unintentionally search to have our childhood needs fulfilled within any other relationship, right? It doesn't have to be a person older than us. It can be any relationship will mirror back to us what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about the world. So often this means that we are unintentionally repeating patterns that we grew up with. So we're not suggesting that we don't need anyone in our lives or to just rely on ourselves. That's not that's not an accurate way or a possible way to live because we're wired for co-regulation and community is an integral part of the human experience. But there is a difference between requiring someone to fulfill a past role that they're unable to really, versus inviting them into relationship with you, setting the boundaries that you need, and engaging in healthy relationship with each other. And being aware of these patterns helps you to be present in your life versus living in the past and from the past.
Yeah. So that was a lot of information about reparenting. So let's just take a breath and really accentuate that exhale. And another one. This is something Meg and I do in all of our offerings is we give somatic tools like that so that we can remember to breathe. That was a lot of information and honor that and just take the time that you need in any situation you're in. So we give lots of tools with that. So there are many ways to reparent ourselves, and everyone accesses their younger parts differently at each time. You do it, it could be different. So therefore, there is no right way to do it. The one consistent recommendation that we have is to be curious about what the younger part wants to express so that they feel seen, heard, and acknowledged. Any two-legged and most four-leggeds want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged, right? Every dog wants to be acknowledged when you come in that door. Well, so do the kids, so does the partner. Like, we didn't get it in childhood. So listening with curiosity. So we both use different processes for ourselves at different times. So today we're going to give you a few examples of how to access younger parts. These range from very simple to more complex, depending on the severity of the stored emotion, the pain, the beliefs, etc. So I'm going to start out with simple, and Meg's going to do intermediate, and then I'll go back to the complex.
And one thing I want to say before you jump into simple is Kim and I are not people who are going to give you a 5-step program. We're not going to say, do these 5 steps and you'll be golden. You'll be great. There's too many variables in our humanity, in the world. There's different styles. There's things that resonate with people and don't resonate with other people. And so take in the information from this that works for you. Reparenting is a journey and it's a practice, and we're still practicing it. So these are ideas to get started. They're overviews. So yeah, just wanted to say that.
Great, thank you. So simple. So beliefs can be limiting, and they may have served us when we were 5 years old and trying to survive a situation in our life. But then when we're 40 years old, we realize that that belief doesn't work for us. Sometimes we can simply reevaluate it and let it go. That's as simple as it gets. When that younger part can recognize that you have more resources now than when it happened, this simple method works. And in these cases, there typically isn't deep trauma associated with it.
So moving up, intermediate level of reparenting is really asking questions. So we talked about how a trigger can be an inroad to reparenting work, and it can be used to show you parts of yourself that need that attention and need that reassurance or witnessing. And then you can begin to ask questions of yourself and to be curious about what caused the dysregulation and why, what the root of that is. And that will lead to uncovering belief systems, beliefs in and of themselves, or experiences that may be causing inner conflicts or highlighting a part of yourself that is asking to be connected with. So I'll give an example of this. So let's say someone, maybe it's a small child, maybe it's a coworker, they're not listening to you. You don't feel like they're hearing you, listening to you, giving you the proper acknowledgement. Maybe you find yourself irritated or frustrated that this is happening. You're activated, right? Or maybe you feel like it happens a lot. Maybe you notice that your inner dialogue is telling you that no one ever listens to you. So step 1 is to notice your, here I'm giving steps. I just said we weren't going to give steps. But not overarching steps. In this case, step 1 is to notice your dysregulation. Note what it's about. I got triggered when I wasn't listened to, right? And then next, when you have a moment, you can ask yourself questions about your experiences and beliefs about being listened to. So some helpful questions can be, was I listened to when I was a child? How did that make me feel? Whether you were or were not, how did that make you feel? Do I have places I'm listened to as an adult? Friends or at work or wherever it is.
Open mic night.
Open mic night. And then, do I believe that I am worth listening to? And that's a big question, right? Because if we don't believe that we're worth listening to, it's going to be really difficult for us to actually feel listened to, because that lens is going to overshadow
or recognize that someone is listening.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. To find those times. So as you answer these questions, you can begin to see patterns and decide whether the beliefs that you carry are still useful to you. There may be situations you encounter where you don't want to, or you do need to continue to believe something about, where you do want to continue to believe something, or you need to continue to believe something about yourself or the world. Or maybe it's not safe yet to address it. Or maybe you just don't know and you need some more time to decide. All of those situations are okay. We always get choice over what we believe, and we always get to keep ourselves safe in the ways that we feel are the best ways to keep ourselves safe in relationship in the world. When you have identified these pieces and made decisions around what you want to change, you can go back and give yourself what you didn't get. And that's that reparenting piece, right? Giving ourselves what we didn't get, what we wish we could have had. So in this example, some ways to do this might be grieving the experience or relationship that you desired as a child or as a young adult or as a, whenever it was. Creating opportunities in your life to be listened to. Again, that open mic night.
Open mic night.
Or a committee or a listening partnership with a friend, whatever it is, creating those opportunities to be listened to. Listening and validating yourself and taking action around that. And then also connecting with that younger part of you that learned this belief and nurturing that part. So Kim is going to talk about kind of that more complex piece of it, of connecting with that younger part.
So if someone has complex trauma, a simple or intermediate, what we call simple or intermediate way of reparenting typically won't be enough to get to the root cause. The following are frameworks and different styles of reparenting our younger selves, and you may have heard of some of these. So internal family systems like IFS, somatic experiencing, that is very body-based, family constellation work, heart-centered therapy. These all have practitioners that support you through the process. I have done all of these over the last 31 years that I've been doing my inner work. And the one that I have felt the most complete, and granted, it is newest to me. I started the training last year, but it addresses the physical body, each emotion, and your inner child, plus healing the relationship with your parent, plus going back through the DNA, right? We all have DNA. So if a belief was created by an ancestor 4 generations ago, the heart-centered therapy can take you back to that. Now, I do know that family constellation work can do that too. I've not personally experienced that through IFS or somatic experiencing, but those two I do. So I do heart-centered therapy with clients so that they can get to the root cause of where it really came from. So the more complex your situation is, or maybe if you're just starting reparenting, it's noticing, right? And then having a practitioner walk with you. Once I had that enough, then I could do a whole bunch of this processing on my own.
And there's not necessarily, like we said, one pathway. It could be a combination of these things.
Yeah.
You can do reparenting work with, say a therapist, even if they're not familiar with reparenting. Maybe it's through a different framework. Just take the foundations of reparenting and apply them to whatever framework works for you.
Yeah. And there's lots of books you can read about it that will help you have different frameworks as well. If you're interested in different books that we use, we have a resource list that you could email us and ask us for. Reparenting takes practice. With awareness, patience, and kindness, you will notice areas that you can reparent. So listening to your self-talk is the first step. Give yourself grace as you're learning your own processes and connecting with yourself and your younger parts about what they need.
So Kim and I have created different ways to engage with the reparenting journey through information, tools, support, and transformation. And all of these are kind of necessary pieces. Like we talked about, different people engage with it in different ways. Some people are very information-based, some people are very body-based. So it just depends on what you're looking for and how and what resonates with you. So we have online workshops, we have in-person events, we have retreats. Many of our participants find that the information and tools in some of our more information-based workshops build the foundation for those deeper transformational experiences of our retreats, our day retreats, or our overnight retreats. And also, our reparenting classes can be customized to organizations to meet specific needs in the workplace. So we can address communication skills, burnout, self-regulation, and more. So if you think your workplace could benefit from these types of training, or if you know any organizations that would be interested in these topics, please let us know. To find the offerings that we currently have, you can go to kimholman.com, and you can look under, Kim's going to show us here, current courses, and then at the bottom, reparenting courses, and then it shows everything that we're offering right now. There's also a retreat tab that has our current retreats that are being offered. This is a 1 hour free that's coming up. So,
Right.
um,
And then this is the Brighton Bush retreat that we like to go up there once a year and teach up there. And this one is this year, 2026, we are
26 currently.
learning
Yeah.
to connect with and acknowledge your inner child.
So yeah, you'll find those at Kim Holman. So KIMHOLMAN.com, kimholman.com. And yeah, so we're so grateful to have had you with us for this introduction to reparenting. We hope that you found some information that you didn't know before and what reparenting is, how it can be helpful, when to know when you need it, and how to begin that reparenting journey. So we look forward to meeting you at any of our upcoming offerings.
Yes, and if you have any questions for us, feel free to shoot us an email.
Yep.
Thank you.